Hello, my name is Anna Clements. I'm the South Lanarkshire Dementia Advisor with Alzheimer Scotland, and today we're going to share some experiences of a couple of carers that we're supporting throughout the pandemic and before. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go. Obviously, with the pandemic hitting us last year, things did change quite dramatically. We went completely digital, which was totally brand new for us, but something we will continue with as things open up again. And today we're going to hear from Ian and Eugene McIntyre about their experiences with Alzheimer Scotland from before the pandemic and throughout as well. So we'll just ask some questions around the experience that you've had over the last year in the pandemic and that before, I suppose, as well, the input that you had from us in Lanarkshire at Alzheimer Scotland. So the question that I have is, what supports did you guys receive from us in Lanarkshire before the pandemic? And Eugene, if you want to kick us off.
Yeah, well, I was introduced to Alzheimer Scotland at Motherwell on a recommendation from our CPN. So we started attending the Monday drop-in, and I think my wife, Rosanna, took to it right away. She seemed to take part in most of the activities that were available without too much support from the girls, although they were merely in the background to help and look after them. Meanwhile, the carers, we sat in another room. The carers, we sat in another room ourselves and had a cup of coffee and we introduced each other and got to know a bit about each other. We spoke about each other's stories, and we built up quite a friendly group. And we actually looked forward then to going to the drop-ins. It was almost the highlight of the week at sometimes. And as I say, we built up good friendships. And since the pandemic, we still keep in touch. Most of us, if not directly, the ones that are in direct contact might be in contact with the other ones. So we all know how everybody's managing and coping, and we can offer some support to each other, whether it be over the telephone or over these meetings that we're having just now. But I don't think I would have coped as well as I have done without the support from Alzheimer Scotland. They've been tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And I can't praise them highly enough, to be honest. That's about as much as I can say, I think.
Thanks for that, Eugene. That's lovely. Do you want to share a little bit of how you've been involved with this? You're involved in both Lanarkshire and Glasgow as well.
Yeah, the Glasgow advisor got me to get in touch with you, Lanarkshire, for Nancy about talking mats. And that was our first visit up to Motherwell. And of course, we were incomers from Glasgow, but you very kindly brought us into the fold and pointed out, as I pointed out, Nancy was originally from Lanarkshire anyway. So we enjoyed that. And because of that, we contacted you, suggested we come to the e-cafe in Rutherglen. And that was excellent. That was our meeting with Lanarkshire folk. There's a similar cafe in Glasgow and one or two other things from Alzheimer Scotland there as well. The good thing about that was that we were meeting other carers, and that's what I liked. Difference for me slightly now is that stopped for us 4 years ago, because as you know, Nancy is in bed. She has advanced dementia. She has carers coming in every day. So we lost that contact with carers, with other Alzheimer carers over the years. And what happened then with Alzheimer Scotland was that Anna and the girl from Glasgow as well would pop into the house to see her. So that was the contact that I eventually had. We lost a very strong contact, a very full contact, to just people coming in now and again. So in many ways, life is not too much different, to be honest. That life is quite quiet. But the connection from Alzheimer Scotland has always been very good and very strong. The main thing we missed was that link with other carers once I was just having to be in the house with Nancy as well.
Thanks for that, Ian. And I think that's something that always comes through, is that need for peer support, and speaking to other carers. And as both of you and Eugene have said, that it does make a difference when you're able to share your experience and your stories, I have to say. So my next question, and I'll start with yourself again, Eugene. You've kind of answered a little bit of it before then, but what kind of challenges have you experienced since lockdown started, and what kind of supports have you had there that have kind of helped you through?
Yeah, the challenges, I feel that through losing contact, face-to-face contacts, and taking part in the groups and the cafes, has been a real struggle at times. But almost immediately in lockdown, the Alzheimer's started these group calls, and I've enjoyed taking part. I'm glad I took part from the very start, and I think I would have been lost without it, to be honest, because we still get that support, although it's not physically there. Mentally, I think the support is just as important, and I feel without it, I would really have been struggling.
What about yourself, Ian? Because I know you didn't come in, you weren't in with us straight from the start. You really joined us digitally, I suppose. What would that have been, about 4 or 5, 6 months? I'm not even really sure now, actually.
I think to a certain extent, because it wasn't such a vital change for me, having gone through this situation where we no longer had contact socially or physically with other carers, that I only had contact with yourself and Ollie coming in to see Nancy. There wasn't just that immediate change. It became a situation where I think I realised we weren't able to speak to anyone because I didn't have other visitors coming in. When you offered this chance of speaking in the group, I thought that was great. Again, I was beginning to be able to meet other carers. So that was the important thing for me. The challenge was actually, in a way, realising that I had to come out of this situation. The challenge that I would put actually to Alzheimer Scotland is the fact that people who are in my situation with being a carer with advanced dementia, people are now just beginning to maybe realise what it's like. People are now experiencing what we've experienced for 4 years. So there was that slight challenge of sort of feeling that people now were in the same situation, and it was actually good to be able to speak to them. And that was, I mean, the video links have been excellent. And as I say, I think that was the main thing. It took that wee while for me to really notice a major difference. But once you had been speaking to me, and especially once we'd had the first couple of calls with the others, I realised just how much I'd been missing, and it was great to speak to other carers.
Yeah,
that's the big thing.
Fall into that way, don't you, of just kind of being so isolated as well. And I think, I suppose you two that we've got today, it usually ends up in rugby chat. Poor Ian sitting in the background going on again. But it's nice actually just having that opportunity to talk about something that's not within your everyday caring role, and getting that little bit of break from.
Yes, but the important thing is you're talking with people who are in the same situation, same background, and understand. I had that with somebody who did come to visit, just a lady we know locally had been in the same situation. I always felt her visits were much more worthwhile when it came to understanding what was happening. She still comes and speaks at the door. That's as much. So I think, although you're not talking about dementia with other carers, you have this common background, and there's always that common influence in what you're talking about, what you're thinking about. I think that's important.
Yeah. I find if maybe one of the group are struggling, the others are there to offer support. We can empathise with everyone's predicament.
And I suppose that's another positive of digital life, I suppose, because before, whilst in North and South Lanarkshire everything was kind of running separate, while we had things in the centre that were always a kind of collaboration, but it's been nice people meeting across the boundary, I suppose, as well, and just making it so accessible. And even out with our call, we've got people that are linking in from all over Scotland, because you can, when it's digital, it doesn't have to be that kind of travel barrier there. You can just pitch in to whatever it is that you might find to be a support to you at the time as well.
I think the fact that you can have a group call and the fact that you're seeing people, I think Eugene hit that, sometimes you can just look at somebody and think they're having a hard time this week. It's just from the body language. And I think that's important. The video has been a godsend in this way.
So my last question, what one thing would you want your audience of people watching, whether that be the individual community, your organisations and your local decision makers, to know about your experience and what's helped you through?
Well, as I said before, these calls have been an absolute godsend. We try, you probably know that some people, when they first join the groups, have struggled a bit. And we're quite happy to sit and listen even to people, offer advice and support as much as possible. I just wish, as I said, that more people could embrace this, because it is such a lifeline to me and to most of the people that are on the groups, that we have this support from each other. We can use each other like a crutch, basically. So these are absolute godsends. It's a great outlet for us. And I look forward to every call, whenever they are.
Thanks, Eugene. What about yourself, Ian?
I think probably I've touched on it, but what has happened is that this situation we're all in has made people much more aware of the situation we were in for the previous 3 years. People understand it much more now, not just people from Alzheimer Scotland, people from outside, just visitors. I think there's much more awareness, and because of that has come to a priority to everybody, it has then been a big thing that Alzheimer Scotland and other groups I'm with as well have looked at using video, and that has been a big thing. I think all in, the awareness, the general awareness of the fact that a lot of effort has been put in at all levels to communicate, has made life so much better than it was a year ago at this time.
And having this access it means we can be there for you all the way through as well. And I think, as you say, it has highlighted the need to have other ways of communicating, whereas before we were quite comfortable in doing our group visits, or it might be one-to-one visits, but this is just, we were forced into this position, but in actual fact it's such a benefit having this point of contact there. And I think,
but as you know yourself, you've experienced that on the Wednesday, sport and music quiz, it is so much an outlet. We don't talk about Alzheimer's or not that it's banned from the call, but we just have so much fun on it. It's great.
It's a little treat.
It's absolutely great. Yeah.
Just watching you graciously win every week.
And ungraciously lose.
There's a first for everyone, I tell you.
That's yeah.
Guys, I think we'll probably have went well and truly over our time.
Well, you have an editor.
That's it.
That's normal for our calls. We never shut up once we start.
Coffee, always. But thank you so much for taking the time. I really, really do appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys sharing your own experiences.